Okay, Sir Bruce.
Sir, now I'm a sir.
You are Sir Bruce today. I have decided.
Really great.
Oh
Hey,
my gosh, Twitter's not letting me post. I hate Twitter. Twitter's been down for the last 4 hours, and it should be up, but for some reason I can still not post, which is fun. If you want to see if you can, I don't think I can. I tried on our account, didn't work. Tried on
let's
my
find out.
account. What? Yeah, let's find
Find
out.
out.
I'm sure everybody's well aware of, well, anybody who are Twitter fans. It's been very annoying.
Oh,
Oh, it posted on my personal. There we go. We're good.
all
We
right.
got it gone.
I am. Oh,
I'll
too late.
share. I'll
Oh
share.
no, it's not. It's not tweeting.
Yeah, I got it. It's fine. We're good.
All right. Cool.
Go for it. Bears Bucks, Bruce. You were
Wow.
correct
Whoa. We're
again.
jumping. All right. Well, first of all,
You were
welcome
correct
everybody
again.
to another edition of Third Down Thursdays. Had
Let's
to
see.
throw it in, man. Cheers to another great day.
Absolutely. I don't even have like a Gatorade or anything
You
right
don't
now.
have
I got
you
nothing.
don't have to go to.
No, I got
Yeah.
nothing right now, dude.
Yeah. What? You got nothing?
I got nothing. It's okay. I don't know. I just went to Portillo's though. I had a cake
There's a
shake.
Portillo's down there.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, real quick, how was your day? Before we go into the talk,
Yes.
I want to ask you, MJ, how was your day?
My day was good. I slept till noon. And then I worked for about 5 hours. Had some articles to write. Watched some Packers game film. Watched a couple press conferences. So I was mostly doing sports stuff all day. Did a couple homework assignments. I was on a Zoom class. But Zoom class doesn't really do much, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. So yeah, I pretty much been. Everybody knows that.
knows it.
Everybody knows that. So
Everybody knows that.
yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Not much. How about you, Bruce? How was your day?
Oh man. Well, we talked a little bit about it
Yeah, you're right.
in the pre-show, but to be honest with you, I found today it was productive in a sense that
Yeah.
we found out what did and did not work. Um,
What do you mean by that, Bruce? If you can
oh,
elaborate just a
we
little
are
bit.
not allowed to go into those conversations because
Not at
uh,
all.
I, I I love my job and I'm not allowed to go into those. But there's some things that logistically that could have been done better.
Well,
And
what I mean is students came back to school
oh
today.
yeah, we
Is
can
what I
talk about
mean by
that.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Not okay, specifically let's get down and dirty what policies didn't work. No.
No, honestly, it was great having the students back. It's while none of them were students that I have a lot of interactions with.
Yeah.
Um, it was phenomenal. It was really good to see them. It was fun being able to interact. What I found interesting was we did a really good job of introducing them back into the school setting.
Yeah.
They loved it. They I don't know. I think everybody appreciates what we've been trying to do, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it was a long day, but that's okay, cuz we're here now. We get to talk about sports. We get to rant about sports. And in
It's
the
true.
end, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to rant about some sports.
Spurts. All right, now
Spurts.
let's jump right into that now, MJ. All right. So your question was Chicago Bears last Thursday. Chicago Bears
You
Buccaneers.
you got it correct again. I must say,
Again,
I give you
5-0.
congratulations.
Thank you. 5-0.
You are
Let's
correct.
go. But no, in Khalil Mack 2 sacks. Said if so that's the framework of the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
If they get pressure on the quarterback, well, let's even rewind that. The Chicago Bears defense is built on pressure, on pressuring the quarterback and getting after it.
Yep.
That's what they wanted to make their. That was the diamond they built around. Let's go with that. It's
Yes.
cheesy as all hell, but let's just go with that.
Makes sense.
If they don't have that pressure, obviously their offense can't do jack, and that's it.
Did
So,
you
because of
see?
it-
Did you
I'm sorry?
see? I tweeted a graphic. I don't know if you saw it. It was basically rating NFL quarterbacks. I have it right here. So it's Dakota ratings, which is basically their efficiency and things like that. Number 1 and number 2 are Rodgers and Wilson, respectively.
Ooh,
by far.
I gotta talk to you about this.
And we will later, trust me, because I have thoughts as well. But then number 27 and 28 are Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky. And it's funny. Foles is somewhat significantly rated higher than Trubisky.
Somewhat significantly.
Yes, somewhat significantly. So, like, I don't mean significantly like the difference between Rodgers and Trubisky. I mean the difference between, like, Foles and Trubisky is bigger than the difference on this graph between Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford.
Fair.
So, that's what I mean by that. But yes, I mean, you guys, you pulled it out. You were saved by the fact that Tom Brady didn't know what down it was. 4. Did you see...
How many Bears wins do you have?
4. How many touchdowns did Chase Claypool have? 4. I tweeted that out, and I got a lot of attention. It was funny.
Hey, I don't blame you, dude. Like, I could... Okay, so... Are we starting to see the demise of 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time, easily ranking in the top 10? I know we did a ranking last week. Last year. Dude, this is how long this week's been.
No, it's okay. I'm very interested in what you have to say about this, though.
So, no, what I'm saying is, like, we're seeing Drew Brees going down, like, not playing as well, but also he's missing Michael Thomas and
yep.
But and then, like, with the weapons that are around Brady, you would think that
Evans and Godwin have been hurt, though.
That's fair.
But I'm interested. Okay, Brees.
Gronk, okay, so while we're talking about older studs, Gronk should not have come back.
Nope.
I love the dude. I do.
He should have stayed away.
That man should have just hung out on the side, doing whatever he was doing, and enjoyed himself. But God bless him, he came back and decided to keep going. But
yeah, but I'm interested, Bruce. I mean, okay, Brady has 4 picks, which is abnormal for him. But even then, during his heyday when he was younger, he's throwing 12, 14, 13 interceptions a year. I doubt he'll keep up on the pace of 1 a game that he's on right now, basically. He's not going to end up throwing 16 picks this year. I really doubt that. But he's thrown for 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, that would put him at his best season ever for those 2 stats. And as long as he cuts down on the interceptions a little bit, I mean, and he's throwing more deep balls than he's ever thrown in his life at a better accuracy than he's ever thrown in his life. That's true. I was looking at it today when I was writing my preview for the Bucs-Packers game. He has the best deep ball accuracy that he's had in his career, and before the Bears game, Bears defense gave him some trouble. Before that game, he was ranked 5th in the NFL in deep balls. Only behind Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson, and Josh Allen.
So currently, right now in the NFL, so I am referencing Football Network. Okay?
Interesting.
So footballnetwork.com. Brady is currently a top 10 quarterback according to what they're putting out.
I would say that. I mean, I think there's still a significant amount of teams that if you said for this season you can swap your quarterback for Tom Brady, a very large amount of teams in the NFL would still take that deal every day of the week.
Wow, they have Ryan Tannehill in the top 5. Sorry.
That's because he has performed like that in the top 5.
He has. I mean,
but even then, let's go take a look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees, 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. Drew Brees has years in his career where he's thrown 22 picks, 19 interceptions. He's throwing for the same amount of yards, the same amount of touchdowns.
His interception percentage is 1.7.
Okay.
That's actually, I mean...
That's not bad. He's had much worse. He had an interception percentage that was 4.2 one of his years early. He had freaking... I mean, it's highest that he's had since 2016, but even 2016 was 2.2. So, and that was the year he threw for 5,000 yards.
Interesting.
Drew Brees throws picks because he throws a lot. He's one of the highest volume throwers in the NFL.
So, all right. So let's keep going to analytics. You said that Nick Foles is rated what, 29th? You said
27th.
27th.
Trubisky's 28.
All right. So, this is actually a pretty cool stat, though.
Yes.
So there is a stat that Nick Foles is rated in the top 5 in the NFL on currently. It is he's 64.4% of Nick Foles' passes this season have been thrown in less than 2.5 seconds. That's third in the NFL. So that's telling me that it's first read. He's reading the defense super quick and is recognizing man or zone right away.
Yep.
And he's able to make that throw. So here's a argument against my. I didn't call him fool's gold, dude.
I'm proud. I noticed that. I'm proud.
Oh man, something's going on. All right. Well,
something's in the water over there today.
For real. Oh man. So lowest in the NFL was Mitchell Trubisky at 34.7%. So he was holding the ball too long, and he wasn't recognizing defenses.
And that's interesting because they're in the same situation, same offense, same offensive line.
That's
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh. Speaking of offensive line,
poor Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah. Yeah. So this week, who's the Chicago Bears offensive line coach again?
Couldn't tell you.
I should know this off the top. I should have known this off the top of my head. Juan Castillo, that's his name. So Juan Castillo is being kept off of this trip to North Carolina
because of practice squad lineman.
No. It's because it wasn't. It was actually because it was somebody that he saw outside of Hallis Hall that contracted COVID and tested positive. So as a precautionary thing, they told him to stay home this weekend. So here's a lot of people I heard on the radio this morning on the way to work saying that, Chicago Bears offensive line, they should be concerned about that loss and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. They already know the scheme. They already know what they're going to do. I call it bullshit. I actually think that they are going to miss Daniels more on the offensive line at guard than they are going to miss their coach.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
That's just my thinking.
I agree. 100%.
It'll be interesting to know what Cam's thoughts are on that too.
Yeah, we'll definitely ask him that. But yeah, it was that Bucs game. Nick Foles just doesn't know how to play until the last couple minutes, and Mitchell Trubisky only knows how to play the first 5 minutes. Nick Foles only knows how to play the last 5 minutes. So, I mean, if y'all went with a start opener and a closer, you'd be great. You'd just still be screwed for the middle 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what is going to worry me, because eventually, I mean, again, we've talked about this. Your defense is playing just good enough, but it's still, I would be just freaking out internally every single time if I was a Bears fan.
Of course. So here's another one. Let's keep going with this talk about advanced analytics.
Yeah.
So this week I was reading that they did a check of 4-1 teams in NFL history.
I saw that.
Of which teams were the worst.
Yep. Bruce, I tweeted that off of our account.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Actually, what's funny about that, though, is I read it somewhere else, and I also heard it on the radio.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can talk. I'll scroll and see if I can find it.
The Bears this year are the second worst team to start 4-1 in NFL history.
Yeah.
And who's the worst team?
The other Chicago Bears team.
The other Chicago Bears. Oh, it's brutal.
Where was it? I could have sworn I tweeted it on our.
Brutal.
Yeah,
So,
it's bad.
man. All right, so to go along to continue the talk that we were having about the Bears, let's see, what was I going to talk about? Oh, okay, so final stats though for Khalil Mack against the Buccaneers:
Yes.
2 sacks, 1 hit, 2 hurries, 1 batted pass, and a hip toss.
You right.
That hip toss was awesome, dude. So if
fantastic.
we see that Khalil Mack come out against the Panthers, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna save my prediction for the score at the end.
Save it for the end.
Let me tell you, man. Some good stuff.
You right. I also want to, let's see. I mean, injury wise, you know who is full practice? Akeem Hicks. I was worried about that because he didn't practice, but that was just resting veteran. Deion Bush is still not practicing. But other than that, I mean, y'all are healthy, which is the biggest thing.
That is. But, well, I mean, crap. They need to start doing something with the health.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
I mean...
And we're still, you know who else? I mean, Cole Kmet is still MIA in the Chicago Bear offense. So let's talk about this.
You don't need him.
We're seeing veins popping out.
You don't need him.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about this though.
Okay.
All right. So earlier this week in Matt Nagy's press conference. By the way, if you get a chance, like watching his press conferences is super interesting. Some of the crap that comes out of his mouth. I'm a huge Nagy fan. I do like Matt Nagy. You obviously don't hear Chicago Sports Talk Radio right now where you're at.
Unfortunately,
but some of the entertaining talk that's been going on this week is, Matt Nagy is a good head coach.
Yes.
He is a good head coach. He is a shit play caller.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the 100% the problem right now. I actually do think that the men in that locker room respect the crap out of him. I think the message that he carries and talks to them about works very well. I think it's echoed amongst all the men in that locker room. I think he does a great job communicating with his coaches. Hence the reason why he does a great job the echoing message that he has. However, if your offensive coordinator is calling plays like absolute dog shit, consistency is terrible. You're putting yourself in, as he was saying, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 21, 3rd and this. He's pounding his fist on the table as he's like calling out all these like ridiculously 3rd and longs.
Yeah.
You know what happens then? You need to start calling better plays so that way you don't put yourself in positions to be 3rd and long, and so that way you're 3rd and short or 3rd and manageable. Simple shit.
Start off with a 5-yard slant on 1st down. It's not that hard.
I mean,
I say it's not that hard. You know what I mean.
Right. And like I was gonna say that with respect
you know what I mean. Yeah.
Coach the NFL players and coaches, it's a lot more difficult than just saying the Monday morning quarterback type shit.
Right.
But at the end of the day, though, man, come on, dude. Call plays that are conducive to setting you up for success and setting up your team for success. That's what you do as a head coach. You have to put your players in position to be successful, not only in that particular moment, but also in the future.
I still think the biggest problem is, does David Montgomery have a touchdown yet?
Yes, he does.
He scored 1?
He has 1. Actually, I think it just came this past week.
So this man has 1 touchdown. This man has 1 touchdown.
But 1 rushing
He's
touchdown.
your second best offensive player, and he has. I'm heated, and I'm a Packers fan. Like,
I'm a Packers fan.
He has 1 touchdown.
Yes.
I mean, that's basically the equivalent of me as a Packers fan if I was sitting here with Aaron Jones in Week 5 having 1 touchdown. That would be ridiculous. I don't understand. Obviously, David Montgomery is not as talented as Aaron Jones, but he's still very good. He's still a very good rusher. You use him enough, he's a 1,000-yard rusher.
Right.
Use him.
All right, I'm gonna ask you this question now. All right, we're gonna steer away from the annoyance of the Chicago Bears' ineptitude on offense. I'm going to ask you about your thoughts going into this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You had
sir.
the chance to see what's going on with the Bears game. You did see maybe like highlights. You watched it.
No, I watched the whole thing.
So and all right, and I was totally wrong in saying this earlier this year when I said the Packers defense wasn't going to be very good. They've actually done very well this year.
Yeah. I was actually just looking at that. The three teams I see the most in the top defense is Packers, Bears, and Bucks.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, finish your question.
No, so I was just gonna ask you, how confident are you this week against the Buccaneers?
I am pretty confident. My biggest worry is Kevin King, who's our bigger corner. He did not practice today still. So he's, I believe, officially listed as questionable for this week. He's our bigger corner. So assuming Mike Evans is healthy, that's my biggest concern. However, the rest of that offense really doesn't scare me. The Packers have, and this is what I was looking at, when you look at rushing defense, the Packers have given up the third least rushing yards in the NFL so far. They have only given up 423 rushing yards. Now, number 2 in that category is the Buccaneers. So basically, looking at that, this is what I wrote in my preview that'll, I think, come out tomorrow or Saturday. It really is going to come down, and I don't mean this to be cliche, but it is. It is going to come down to Brady versus Rodgers. It's going to come down to, can Mike Evans and Godwin stay healthy, because they're both nursing, I believe, hamstring injuries, hamstring or ankle. And Adams is coming off his first game off of his hamstring injury. So it's going to be, are the star wide receivers going to be healthy, and what can Brady and Rodgers do with their other pieces? I think the biggest thing will be Robert Tonyan, little George Kittle, what he can do. I mean, did you see his 3-touchdown game?
Yes, I saw his 3-touchdown. I saw highlights. I didn't actually see it. I saw highlights.
He's becoming a little bit of a beast. And I'm not overreacting on that. I was high on him to begin with. I thought he was better than Jay Sternberger, who everybody was saying was going to be their number 1 tight end. Sternberger is not really built like a tight end. He's kind of built like I will say it. He's built like a fat wide receiver. He's in between, just body type wise. He's in between a wide receiver and a tight end. He's just not big enough to be a tight end. So that I think Robert Tonyan will play a big part. So I think it's going to be close. I think it's just going to be a shootout. Both of the defenses are good, but you get Brady in a situation where he's going against Rodgers. As much as Aaron Rodgers can say, this is not me facing the opposing quarterback, I don't care. This is Aaron Rodgers facing Tom Brady. They've done it twice. They've both been high-scoring, really close games the 2 times these guys have played, 2014 and 2018. And that is what I am expecting. Again, I think what I predicted was 38-31 Packers.
We're going scores right now.
Okay. I think that's what I predicted. And realistic.
38. What was it? 38 what?
38-31 Packers.
All right, real quick. What was the before I excuse the squeaks?
The over/under's 55.5.
I don't care about that. What's the spread?
The spread is pick'em right now.
It's pick'em, really?
Yes, it's pick'em.
And it's played in. Is it played in
Tampa.
Green Bay?
It's Tampa.
Oh, it's Tampa. Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 90 degrees.
There will be fans.
Yes.
And you're going, what was the score that you said?
38-31.
38-31?
Yeah.
Hold on.
And I think it's going to be, that last touchdown is going to be late. It's not going to be like Bucks trying to come back.
So I agree 100% with you. It's going to come down to Brady and Rodgers, because looking at the rushing defenses that both teams have, they're very similar.
Yeah.
And now this, mind you, this is me just now really looking at it. I haven't looked at it as extensively as you have.
Yeah.
However, from what I'm seeing, I am going to go with. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers, and this is not like at all being because I hate the Packers.
Yeah, I know.
It's because I actually think that because the Buccaneers their passing defense, in my opinion, looks statistically better than the Packers. I am going to
What?
go. Yes,
Wait, what?
I am going to go with.
Are you looking at numbers right now?
I am. I'm looking at
The
numbers.
Bucks
right.
have given up 1,200 passing yards. The Packers have given up 990.
Correct. You're right. I'm going to go with yards per game, homie. Yards per game. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to say 27-24 on a field goal to win the game.
Really?
Because Tom Brady's going to Brady the crap out of it. And
You mean like he didn't do against the Bears?
I think he's going to do it. All right, so this is what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a situation where Aaron Rodgers is an absolute stud, and he is. So the score will be like 24-17, and the Packers are down, and Rodgers is going to like lead them on a ridiculous drive for a touchdown to tie the game, and then Brady's going to Brady it, and they'll get in field goal range and like hit a 57-yarder and win the game for the Buccaneers.
So Packers and Bucks are basically giving up the same amount of points per game. Basically the same passing yards per game.
I know you like
Bucks
that.
are a little lower because they played the Bears.
It's like that much lower.
Right. The Bucks are a little.
I love your.
The Bucks are a little lower because they played the Bears.
Look at the intensity and anger that you have.
I'm just confused. Like, they're both very good defenses.
27, 100%.
But name me.
All right, even better. 24-21. 24-21 Buccaneers.
But Bruce, name me a guy on the Bucks defense who's going to change the game.
Name you a guy on the Bucks defense that you like how I'm like repeating the question so that way I can go and look at a depth chart right now.
Yep.
Again, I was looking at numbers.
I know.
Actually, I do like their front seven. That's the one thing I do like on that team.
Yeah.
From what I recall.
They also have some injury concerns on their defense this week.
They have a lot of guys that are questionable right now.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Whitehead's questionable. Carlton Davis questionable.
JPP.
Levante David questionable. Jason Pierre-Paul questionable with his like pinky ring finger or whatever he's got going on there.
Yeah. Levante David was limited today. Davis. Carlton Davis.
Yeah, Khalil Davis questionable.
Did not participate.
So there's a
Jordan
lot of
Whitehead did not participate.
Godwin's questionable. On offense. Mike Evans questionable. So they got a lot of issues. They do. I agree 100%.
And the Packers defense outside of
Antoine Winfield. You want me to name a guy? I'm gonna say Antoine.
So the rookie is gonna. Have you seen what Aaron Rodgers has done to rookies this year? Have you seen what Aaron Rodgers has done to rookies?
The rookie
Bruce?
from Minnesota. The Minnesota Viking rookie.
What are you watching?
The 2020 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Antoine Winfield.
You never know what you're gonna get, baby.
Oh my word!
That was pretty good. You like that,
Bruce? Have you seen? Oh my word! I agree, it's gonna be a close game, but like the idea that it's because the Buccaneers' defense is so much better.
You have to appreciate what you just heard there. The fact that we had the background, we had the draft, we heard the commissioner call out his name because he's going to pick off Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, you mean Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't have a turnover-worthy play yet?
Well, that's why it's a bold prediction.
By the way, Cam's in the waiting room, but real quick, what I wanted to point out was, our conversation last week, Rodgers versus Wilson. You know who struggled?
Really?
You know who struggled? You know who struggled? No. You know who struggled against the freaking Minnesota Vikings and only got saved by Mike Zimmer's idiocy? Russell Wilson.
Doesn't matter.
You know
He still
who
brought
struggled against that team?
95
Russell Wilson.
95-yard drive to win the game. Can't do it like that.
Okay, good job. He sucked the rest of the game. He was bad that entire game. No, I'm gonna ask. That's gonna be the first thing I'm asking Cam. I'm bringing him in here. That's the first thing I'm asking Cam.
He's so mad. What up, Cam?
Oh my gosh, I'm going crazy.
He's so mad.
I am going crazy right now. Hi Cam, how are you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, Cam, this is
great. Bruce is just pissing me off over here.
Good start. Good start.
He enjoys doing that a little bit too much. It's fine.
I was about to say it's what I do well. Oh, real quick, Cam, my bad for tweeting at you last week. I got my days mixed up, man, and
I panicked there for a second, and then I was like, no, I figured it was another week. But don't sweat it.
Yeah. You know, sometimes like the real job gets in the way, and suddenly,
Bruce, don't pretend, Bruce. You're just old.
Yeah, getting there, man. Getting there.
Anyway, Cam, before we start grilling you with questions, because Bruce is a Bears fan, I'm a Packers fan, so as you can see, there's plenty of controversy already. If you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, then we can get rolling.
Sure. I'm, like you said, Cam Ellis. I'm NBC Sports Chicago Bears reporter. I've been on the beat now. This is my third season. Before that, I worked in D.C. for NBC Sports, covering the Nats and a little bit of their... did some digital stuff there as well. And so, yeah, that's sort of it. I could go back farther, but it doesn't really get more interesting than that. So I'll leave it there.
That's fair.
Sweet. Bruce, I'm not going to start with that. I'm not going to...
Come on. Oh, you were saying you were...
Okay, fine. Okay, Cam.
Go ahead, buddy.
No, okay. So, because it is divisional, so it has some impact. So, Cam... Bruce and I had I ranted at Bruce last week. It's fine. We had a conversation last week about the Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers MVP debate.
Okay.
My general point to kind of summarize was Aaron Rodgers has done more or less the same with less weapons so far because of Devontae Adams being hurt. Does not have two receivers the quality of Lockett and Metcalf, whereas Russell Wilson... Part of the reason he's throwing more than ever is because he has more weapons than he ever has in terms of receivers. And then what I was saying to Bruce before we let you in is Aaron Rodgers dominated the Vikings, and then Russell Wilson had to be saved by Mike Zimmer and go on a 95-yard drive to actually beat them because he was really bad at the beginning of that game. So I'm just interested, generally, your thoughts on that debate. I won't be offended if you pick Russell Wilson. I understand it's very close, but my point is... especially when you have playing the same team, Rodgers handled them easily. Wilson really struggled in that game.
Sure, yeah. I will say, though, you said just go on a 95-yard drive.
Oh, I know.
Thank you.
No, that drive was extremely impressive, but that it wouldn't have even mattered. The story of that drive would have been the failed two-point conversion from Russell Wilson in that offense if Mike Zimmer would have just frickin' kicked the field goal.
Right, no, I think that... I think my head says that you're right with, Rodgers does more with less, or not more, equal amounts with less than Wilson does this year. But my heart says Russell Wilson just because no one's ever given him one vote ever. So
that is ridiculous, yeah.
For Russell Wilson to get an MVP a while. So probably at the end of the day, I think Rodgers is probably the smarter pick for MVP or the more rational pick. But it's week 6. In a month, we could always say, "Ray, remember when we thought so-and-so was going to be the MVP?" Things move so quickly. I'll give it to Rodgers right now, but, in a month, I could give it to Wilson, and it'd probably be the same thing.
That's fair. That makes me happy. Okay, Bruce, you can talk now. I was going to sit here and smile for the rest of the
That's a great segue. I appreciate that. So, all right, Cam. So let's go back to the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
So I'm curious to know what have you seen a noticeable difference in the demeanor from players or from what you've heard from coaches since the quarterback change has occurred?
I would say maybe not in demeanor. The difference I would say I've noticed is that players sort of get to the next level feel like they're more comfortable with the next level of the offense. Okay. And what I mean by that is, almost immediately when Foles came in, people were talking about, the checks he was making on the line, or the comfortability with which he knew the verbiage immediately, and the Rolodex of plays he sort of knew off the top of his head, and the way he was sort of able to, read defenses before the snap and to make those adjustments, which was sort of not ever quite Mitch Trubisky's, best attribute. So I think that they have noticed a little bit more that things click a little easier. If not click, then things make a little more sense than they did with Trubisky. I think that, it's not rocket science to say that Trubisky is the better athlete, but Foles is the better quarterback. But I think that while they're certainly not anywhere close to where they want to be, I think that there's a little more light at the end of the tunnelness now than there was when Trubisky was playing, just because they sort of knew that Trubisky's abilities as a play caller in this offense were sort of at his ceiling.
Fair. MJ, if you don't mind, I have a kind
Go
of
for it.
follow-up. One of the advanced analytics that we've come across is the fact that Nick Foles is getting rid of the ball significantly quicker than Trubisky has been or was. So that in my mind would tell me that he's able to read the defense quicker, able to recognize things a lot faster than Trubisky was able to. That said, with what you also told us about how well he knows the offense, are we going to see a better plan with Matt Nagy in his play calling, or?
I guess it depends on how much better anyone's expecting, right? Like, I think there's certainly room for improvement, just because it's not good right now, and it hasn't been particularly good at all this year. But I think his resume sort of speaks for itself at this point. That it's been 3 years of sort of pretty bad offenses. I don't know how drastically better it's going to get. I don't think they're going to turn into the Chiefs in a couple weeks, like if you know what I mean. I think that there's a perfectly reasonable world. I mean, they're 4-1. I think there's a world where they sort of figure out how to play through Foles into, Allen Robinson, into Jimmy Graham, into, Darnell Mooney, hopefully into Cole Kmet somewhere down the line. Run David Montgomery. I think there are ways that Foles can facilitate this offense enough to keep them in games, and this team does, has fared historically pretty well in close games. So I think that bodes well for Bears fans and the Bears going forward, but I don't think they're going to be blowing the tops off anyone. I don't think it's going to be 30-10 games every other week going forward. I think their Bears fans sort of had to settle in for a year of these 19 to 11 games.
All right, so I'm gonna follow up, MJ. I'm totally eating this up right now. So do you foresee, or can you see, if it's consistently inconsistent, that Matt Nagy gives away play calling to somebody else?
No, I don't think so. I think this is just his baby, so to speak. I think he was hired here to run the offense and call plays, and I think that the McCaskies like what he's doing so far. I mean, McCaskies aren't really bothering themselves, with, like we are with stats and analytics. They're seeing that the Bears won, the NFC North in his first year, and even in a bad year last year, they went 8-8, and they're 4-1. They're winning football games, and I think that's really what matters to ownership, and I think that's really where any sort of change has to trickle down from. So no, I don't think that it's going to be a offensive change thing, because I think everyone sort of has their place right now. With Laser being the OC, with Flip being the quarterback's coach, everyone sort of is very firmly in their lane and knows what they want to do. And I think that they're so sort of still in the preliminary stages of getting together the offense that they feel they can, that someone giving up play calling would sort of kneecap an idea or kneecap a progression that they're not entitled, that they think that they still have quite a bit to go on.
So, Cam, my question would be, why, and Bruce and I kind of talked about this a little bit, with how talented everybody's seen David Montgomery be, why is Matt Nagy not using him?
It's a good question. Just because Matt Nagy doesn't want to run the ball. He's not there to run the ball. And I think there are plenty of analytics and plenty of lines of thought that sort of line up with what he thinks, which is that running the ball primarily isn't really a great use of one's
Yeah.
time or one's effort. I agree that David Montgomery could get more than 11 or 12 carries a game, and Matt Nagy even told us today, he said he wants to get him up near 20. But then he also said that it's not really ever going to be close to 20 unless the Bears are winning because they're pulling up, like they're drawing out the clock sort of thing. So I think that the good news for David Montgomery is that he's flashing way more potential as a pass catcher this year. And
Yeah.
if he's going to only get 11, 12, 13, maybe 15 carries, it also pays that he's good for 4 to 6 receptions and 40, 60 yards. You know, I mean, that wheel play against Tampa Bay was one of the biggest plays of the game in their win on Thursday. So they can find a combination that works. It's tempting to say that you want to give him the ball 20, 25 times because I do think he could handle that as a running back. I mean, I think he has that in him. I just don't think that Nagy as an offense is ever going to choose that unless they absolutely have to.
And yeah, you're right, Cam. I've talked to some very analytical people, and they're like, running the ball really never makes sense unless you're at the goal line, basically, which is just weird because you always hear the cliche, establish the run, things like that, but there is a school of thought that play action works even if you really don't run the ball that often. You only have to run it a select amount of times, and as long as you have someone like David Montgomery where they know he can run the ball, play action still technically works.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that line of thinking is never going to find its way fully into NFL, you know, camps because there's just so many other aspects of running the ball that affect the game in ways that don't just, you know, draw the linebackers
Right.
in. You know, there are setting up the line protections, there are plays within the plays, there are checks, there are reasons to still run the ball. I tend to agree with those that say that you don't really need to run the ball before you start running play action just because that's how it works. But I think the Bears are sort of in a good spot to have a running back who, when he goes on the field, is a threat to do both. You know, a couple of years ago when they were running out Jordan Howard, you sort of knew what you were getting with Jordan Howard. And, you know, in years past, when like last year, Tariq Cohen, you knew that they were going to pass to Tariq Cohen because he wasn't really a threat to run it. So having someone that is a little more balanced works just because you can move him across the field. And I think that if the Bears are going to sort of give a 30% effort to running the ball, it pays to have someone in that role who can do both and stay on the field.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious now where I'm going to stay on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know snap counts off the top of my head, but have the Chicago Bears found a new number 2 receiver in Darnell Mooney?
I think it is maybe less. So yeah, I think so. I would be very. I'm very impressed with Mooney, and I think fans should be very excited with Mooney. I think that it's maybe less that he has won the job and more that Anthony Miller just can't be a number 2 receiver. I'm just sort of low on Anthony Miller as a player. The consistency issues concern me. I think he has a weird penchant for showing up in the moment, which is good for him because he does always seem to like be there when the Bears need him to. But when you want to see a number 2 receiver, you want to see those flashes that Anthony Miller has shown for 3-4 games at a time, consistently over time. And I think that just not works. You know, at this point, they're really only running Anthony Miller out of 11 personnel, which sort of limits his ability to get on the field. With Mooney, though, I think you want to sort of see the production go up, numbers-wise at least. But he has looked so impressive. And the things that you were maybe not sure he could do in the NFL, you know, play with outside corners, you know, muscle guys out for the ball, go up and get it because of this height. Like, he's doing all those things already. So I would be very encouraged. For as much as I'm discouraged about what Miller's done, I would be encouraged because I do think that Mooney has a chance to sort of be the solid guy in the role that they wanted Miller to be a couple of years back, and maybe even more because he sort of flashed the potential that Miller has too.
Quickly too. So I'm going to jump sides now. So defensively, it's amazing how great and how the talks is silenced when you have 2 sacks and whatever quarterback hurries and a hip toss from Khalil Mack, and defense forces a turnover. So thoughts? Is the defense fixed?
If it was only
Just
simple,
bam,
right?
fixed.
right?
I think that the defense is getting better. I think that the defense needed a couple games to get their legs under them. Khalil Mack had a knee thing that was going on, and while he wasn't missing games, it was sort of. I think coaches have sort of alluded to the fact that it was sort of slowing him down. Robert Quinn has sort of talked about how, excuse me, it took him a little time to ramp up with a short preseason with no games. So I think there is something to the fact that they're getting better. Best red zone defenses in the league this year. They're not really giving up points. The takeaway margin is high again. There are the things that you like to see in the patterns, the trends you like to see in a defense are there right now. The run defense is not good. They really miss Eddie Goldman. They haven't really found a way to plan around that, and I think that it's going to continue sort of being an issue. But at the same time, I think they're going to be okay with getting gashed from the 20 to the 20 and then hold teams to field goals or try and get a turnover or a sack and get a punt. So there's there are going to be games when I think the Bears get run around on defense, and I think that the Bears are going to give up 120, 130-yard rush performances every once in a while, just because they don't quite have the personnel to defend the run like they would with Eddie Goldman out there. But I like the way they're trending. I love the secondary. Tashawn Gibson's played well, but the corners are playing really, really well. So it's an encouraging start, and I think some of their worst games may already be behind them.
My very simple yet very complicated question to you, Cam, will be: is the defense good enough to carry the Bears like they did in 2018?
Yeah, I think they are, because I think they're carrying an offense that's going to be better. I think that if the offense was as bad as it was last year, no, this defense couldn't hold it. I think this defense isn't stout in the same ways that they were in last year, or especially like you said in 2018. But I think that this offense will find a way to stay in the 20 to 28 point range on a lot of games, and I think that this Bears defense can easily carry quote unquote a Bears team that scores 21, 24, 25, 28 points a game, because they're used to getting 11 points and having to deal with that. So they're going to get, I think you talk to them and they say, yeah, if we get 21, 24 points, like that's more than enough for us. And it does seem that way. The way that they're playing right now, I believe them when they say that that's really all they need.
So, so jumping back to the offense, Le'Veon Bell got signed earlier. Well, yeah, by the Kansas City Chiefs. It is what it is. But Lamar Miller is still on the Chicago Bears practice squad. Do we foresee any time that guy? He was a great player back in the day before injuries. Do we foresee him coming up to the 53-man roster at all?
I do. Yeah, I think he's going to play. I think he may. It'll be interesting to see if he's on the roster by Sunday. If not, I think a game after that. This week we were talking to the coaches, and they sort of said that with the Thursday schedule, they wanted to give Miller a week to sort of get his feet under him, get acclimated with the offense, because while he's sort of familiar with it, he's familiar with Laser, but he's not really familiar with Nagy. He's not quite from the scheme. It's a little bit different, but they wanted to give him some time to get in camp and sort of get reps and get acclimated to things. Especially with all the precautions that are happening right now, it's sort of hard to hit the ground running in the NFL this year. So yes, I think that they're just being precautionary. I expect to see him soon. I think they just need someone, a third back, to sort of fit into that Tariq Cohen role. I don't think that more Cordero Patterson as just a traditional running back is going to cut it. So I expect to see Lamar. You're not a Cordero Patterson.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, Ken. I actually do like Cordero Patterson, but I don't like the fact. And although we did see it a little different in the Buccaneer game, but basically it was either toss, handoff every time that he was in. It was very predictable. Yeah. But the nice thing was in the Buccaneers game, you didn't see that as much. You saw him running a wheel route. You saw him doing some other stuff out of the backfield that wasn't done before, but it's just frustrating knowing, like, seeing him back there and being like, well, no one's coming.
Right, yeah, and I think that was sort of the problem with him last year, is that it felt so predictable, and I think they're still sort of trying to find the right amount of snaps and the right role for him. But I think that's what Lamar Miller is going to help out with. If you have Lamar Miller out there with David Montgomery, that sort of frees up Cordero Patterson to line up out wide. It frees him up to sort of run right in the slot, to do some jet stuff. There are options as a playmaker as opposed to a running back that open up to Cordero Patterson if they get someone like Lamar Miller, onto the active roster. So I think it's within their best interest to do so, and I think they know that, just because it's not going to be Ryan Nall or Artavis Pierce. It's going to be it's going to be Lamar Miller, excuse me, or it's going to be more of what we saw in the last couple of games.
So Cam, to go a little bit more broad, give me your prediction for the Bears' playoff chances. I mean, right now, obviously, they're sitting at 4-1, looking pretty good. Right now, they would be the second wild card, the 6th seed in the NFC, since we expanded to 7 teams in the playoffs now. So, with that, will they be able to win the NFC North? Kind of give me a little breakdown of your predictions for them moving forward.
So I don't think they're going to win the NFC North. I think the Packers are really good, which is sort of crazy because, everyone thought the Packers were due for this huge step back, and it hasn't happened yet. I said at the beginning of the year that they were going to go 9-7, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. I do. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to sneak in there, especially with the expanded, not roster, the expanded slots.
Yep.
I think they are a playoff caliber team. I think that this is a tough month or so, but then their schedule at the back end is conducive to racking up wins if they need it to, and they won the games they needed to at the start of the year. So I think that they have given themselves a good cushion and are a better roster than they were last year. So I don't know how far they go in the playoffs. I guess you just sort of hope and pray for a defense and Nick Foles to do its thing in the playoffs, as time always apparently tells it does. But I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm more confident that they'll make the playoffs than they would make a playoff run.
That's fair. I'll give you that. It looks like Bruce is cooking up something over there.
Oh, that's not true. No,
yes, it is.
I agree with Cam 100%. I did predict the Bears to get to the playoffs this year. But my question... Wait, did I? I can't remember. No, but my question to you, though, is I actually think the next four games will be 4 or 5 games for the Bears will be a good indicator of how they do this year and how they'll end up this year, because they have the Panthers this week, they have the Rams, they have the Saints, Titans, and Vikings,
and then the Packers.
Correct, and then the Packers. So in those 5 games right there, I actually do think that they can go potentially 4-1. Go ahead.
I think that we were talking about this earlier. I think they got to win 3 out of their next 6 games. I think that the Panthers are playing well, but they also sort of have the Bears thing before the Bucs game where they haven't really played anyone tough. So I think the Bears are clearly the better team this weekend. So I think that's probably good. The Bears should, if their Bears are for real, they should win this game on Sunday pretty handedly. I think Monday night in LA is tough. I think the Saints is a toss. I think going to Tennessee is tough. So I expect the Bears to lose 2 or 3 games here in the next couple of weeks or so. But I do think that you're right, that if they can pull out some of these games, there's no longer a team outside of maybe the Packers right now that looks just like leagues head and above the Bears skill-wise. And I think that, Bears-Packers games always end up sort of, or at least in the Matt Nagy era, always end up close. So the Bears are going to be in most of the games this year. I mean, Matt Nagy's only been in, 1 or 2 games that ended up as bigger than a 1-score game. If he plays games close, they're going to be in games. So I think that's good enough to get them to 9 wins. And honestly, if I could see them rifling off 10 and maybe 11 if the Nick Foles things happens again. I'm skeptical that it will, but if it does, there's no reason. There's nothing standing in front of them to not go 10-6 or 11-5.
Well, even just looking at, let's say in the next 6 games, like you said, even if they just win 3, they come out of that 7-4. They have the Lions, should be able to win that game. 8-4. Texans should win that game. 9-4. Granted, I don't know what the Texans will look like by then, but right now they're in shambles. 9-4. Even if they lose the game to the Vikings, 9-5, they should beat the Jaguars. 10-5. Then that last game against the Packers, honestly, at that point would only be seeding because I would assume the Bears would be in the playoffs if you get them at 10 wins. So, honestly, at that point, that game might be the division. I don't know. I don't think the Packers will lose that many games between now and then, but who knows? So, I'd be pretty confident at this point that the Bears would make the playoffs.
It's going to get crazy just because of all the divisional play being so backlogged. So, it's just like, it's funny to sort of, it feels like the calm before the storm right now, just because all this, intra-divisional stuff is happening. So we're getting crazy, Bears-Titans games and Bears-Falcons games, and then all of a sudden, from Thanksgiving through the end of the year, it's just going to be nuts because it's just what they have the Vikings twice in 3 weeks or the Packers twice in a month. Like it's just going to get kind of wild here. So it's exciting. It's going to be, I think, a fun I think it's a 2-horse race in the NFC North. I think the Vikings will have something to say. I think they're just going to be a thorn in the side of one team, one way or another. But it's shaping up to be a pretty exciting NFC divisional race so far.
The Vikings, though, they got Justin Jefferson. That's pretty much their only bright spot right now. But I am, as much as I still think the Jordan Love pick was smart for the Packers, seeing Justin Jefferson doing that in Minnesota does make me sad. I will say that does make me sad.
Yeah.
I don't, but like the Packers are it's so bizarre to me because all the fans were so mad all year, and now they're just so good, and it's just so it's so confusing.
No, but like it drove me crazy all offseason because Matt LaFleur made it very clear the type of offense he wanted to build, and he drafted perfectly for that offense, and then drafted the quarterback that he will want whenever Rodgers leaves, and realistically, Jordan Love will still be there whenever Rodgers' contract runs out. So I don't understand. To me, it was not a direct condemnation of Aaron Rodgers. It was building the type of offense that will allow him to finish his contract because he doesn't have to throw 40 times a game for that offense to win. So, not to go off, but it drove me crazy that
the
Packers
anger,
fans...
I love watching it.
Because it's Packers fans not understanding. They haven't drafted a skill player since they drafted Aaron Rodgers in the first round. The Packers don't draft skill players in the first round. They just don't.
And if you want to look at a team that did the opposite and just never drafts quarterbacks for no reason whatsoever, just look at the Bears. You just turn it. You are so close to a team that does the exact opposite of being, smart about looking down the road. And the Bears are trying to juggle between Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles and, whoever gets traded to them as a, third-team quarterback next year, whether it's Darnold or I don't even know who it is. It's going to be someone that failed with their first team, though, and that's what happens when you don't draft quarterbacks at all. So it could be much worse.
That's true.
All right, so before we let you go, Cam, we got to get a score prediction with you, brother.
Okay. For this weekend?
For this week, yes.
I'm going to go 24-21 Bears. I think they're the better team. I think the offense is going to score enough. I sort of like how Cairo Santos is kicking. I think he's doing well. I think there's the Panthers will put up points on this Bears defense because the Panthers offense is good and they're for real. But the Bears are the better team, and I think that's going to show up again.
That's the exact same score I was going to pick, so I'm going to waver from that score, and I'm going to say Bears 27, Panthers 24.
Okay.
That was wasn't 24-21 what you picked for the Packers game too, Bruce?
Yes, sir.
So you were going to pick the same... Okay.
Buccaneers.
Yeah,
it's a consistent one. You just go with that one every year, every week.
But the way people have been putting up points, that's a little low, though.
Yeah, but again,
not in Bears games, I guess, because defense, whatever. But
yeah, maybe Eddie Jackson returns to what? Last time he played the Panthers, he had that huge game, right? Maybe that happens again.
Yep.
True. Okay, Cam, I believe that's all we got. Thank you very much for taking time out of your evening to come join us. It was
Yeah, of course.
fantastic.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Cam. Much appreciated, brother.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you later, sir. Sweet.
Awesome.
Go back to us. Bam. Wham. I'm glad Cam agrees with me that Jordan Love was a good pick. I like him. He's a good guy. He agrees with me. Cam and I are on the same wavelength, Bruce. We're intelligent.
We should have asked him for a Packers Buccaneers prediction.
You right. Text him. Hey, Cam.
Right? Hello.
Hello.
Another solid effort put forth from my tired ass and your tired ass. Wait,
Yes, sir.
you woke up at like noon. Never mind. Shut up.
Bruce, that's because I was up till 4:30 working for Res Life.
You know what's actually funny? I woke up at 4:30. That's
I
when
should
my
have
alarm
just
goes
texted
off.
you.
You could have.
Literally, if you're ever bored in the morning when you wake up, text me. There's a decent chance I was up dealing with stuff.
That's hilarious.
So.
We're on two completely separate schedules.
And we meet in the middle at 7 o'clock for Third Down Thursdays. It's harmony.
Again, guys.
Yep, I got it on underneath.
Let us know.
They're so comfortable. For real, like, the people that got them at Bradley, they keep, like, I've seen them wearing around, and they're like, these are so comfortable, dude. So, I'm going to get Paige and one of my friends both have one. So, I'm going to have them take a picture at some point before next week so we can, start sharing. So, if you have a shirt, take a picture, send it to us.
Rock it. We'll toss it up on the social media stuff.
Exactly.
On the interweb.
On the Twitterverse.
On the face chat. On the
Twittergram.
Insta-twit.
Yep. And the Twittergram.
All that.
Okay, now that we've made ourselves sound like we're 80, any last words, Bruce?
Well, Dean Bean, they are quality. Yes, they are.
Yes, ma'am, they are. She knows.
Love you, babe. Anyway, MJ, great show, great job. As always,
Bruce.
much fun. Again, Cam, thank you so much. We gotta get some more people on.
We
gotta
do.
Talk to some,
We'll start working on that.
we gotta start doing this.
I'm gonna go to the gym and then I'm gonna send some messages.
Oh, going to the gym. Let's go.
Gonna go play some basketball. Get a nice little workout in.
That boy. All right,
Yes,
man.
sir.
I'm going to take a shower and get some sleep because
Tired boy.
All right, guys. Thanks
Sounds
for
good.
watching. Appreciate it. See you next week.
See ya.